Welcome to Lifestyle Solopreneur, the community for entrepreneurs who put lifestyle first. Join your host, Flavia Barris, as she interviews successful lifestyle solopreneurs and shares ideas to help you find the perfect balance between lifestyle, business, and self. Flavia is an attorney, marketing expert, and founder of several online academies. She's been featured in major media, including BBC World News, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Post, ESPN Television, and more. Join us for this episode of Lifestyle Solopreneur.
Hey, Lifestyle Solopreneurs. Today we get to speak with Fred Moskowitz. He is an educator, author, public speaker. He's trained countless investors from all walks of life on how to create passive income streams of their own. As a fund manager, he operates a mortgage note investment fund and is considered an industry veteran within the note investing arena. Fred teaches the concept that individual investors are able to step into the shoes of a lender through note investing and effectively be the bank. Welcome to the show, Fred.
Thank you, Flavia. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you here. I always love having guests that, and I don't want to say that you're the only person that does this, you're not, but I feel like it's more of a unique niche in the world of just finance and real estate and in general. And
sure.
Tell us a little bit about you and how you ended up being in this niche in the real estate and finance world.
Yes, absolutely. I'll tell you, Flavia, I had a really long and successful career working as a computer engineer. I spent many years working at different tech companies and startup companies. And what happened was I watched and experienced my entire industry get flipped upside down during the bursting of the dot-com bubble. And right around the same time, we had the September 11th terrorist attacks. And so there was all of this turmoil in the world, huge disruption to the tech industry. And it made me realize that I was way too dependent on the income from my job. It was my only income source. And even though I loved the work I was doing, my job was always full of so many circumstances that are just completely out of my control. And what I eventually learned was that no matter how talented of an engineer I was or how valuable of an employee I was, if things were not going well at the company financially or in the industry overall, I could quickly lose my job through no fault of my own. And it was always this constant roller coaster ride in the tech industry. It's a very cyclical industry. And so I came to this realization that I needed to seek out other sources of income so that I wouldn't be so dependent on the paycheck from my job. And so that led me to alternative investing in general. And I started out with real estate investing, building up a rental portfolio. And I loved the cash flow. I loved the income from that. And after a number of years, I turned to note investing, was something I learned about and started to get really involved in it. And what I found was that investing in the notes in the debt side of real estate transactions, I could really scale up and grow into something big and scale up a portfolio. And so I continued on with that.
And so for everyone listening, because there's a lot of people who are like, note investing, even just like investing in the loan side of real estate finance, like it's a big question mark. Like they are not sure what that really involves. And if it's something that an individual can do versus like it needs to be a bank doing this kind of work. So give us just the boiled down version of what is note investing as a business?
Yeah, as a business, note investing is where we can talk about investing in the paper. That's the nickname of note investing, investing in the paper. And really, it's talking about the notes and mortgages that are associated with all of these real estate transactions. And a lot of people are interested in real estate. They invest in single family houses or commercial properties or multifamily. And just about everyone sees this that mortgage loans get bought and sold on the secondary market every day, every single day. And this is a really interesting part of the real estate business. But I've found that most real estate investors, they don't pay any attention to it. And most people, when they think about a note and a mortgage, they think about being the borrower and never as a perspective as being the lender. So through note investing, it's going to allow you to step across the aisle and become the bank. And you transition from being the one making the monthly payments to being the one receiving those monthly payments.
And so there's a lot of people right now who are thinking like, oh, wait, I need to go to a bank to borrow money if I'm going to buy real estate.
Yes.
I definitely don't have enough to be the one making loans for real estate. So give us a little bit about the entry price point, let's say, like if somebody wanted to invest in the note market, where would they need to be with, as a minimum, with liquidity, with cash in order to jump in?
Yeah, great question. Note investing is definitely a capital intensive business. There's not really financing that you can use. You have to come into a deal with all cash. And if you wanted to use leverage, you're going to have to seek it from a different source, borrow against a different asset that you have. Maybe there's different ways to do that. So you do need to have a source of capital. Capital is one of the primary pillars of this industry. And so you either have capital because you made it in another place in your traditional employment or real estate deals. I talk to a lot of investors that have sold a property they've owned that had a lot of equity in it, and then they redeployed that into mortgage notes, which is a great transition to make for diversification. And some people leverage retirement account funds that have idle capital sitting in their retirement accounts from a prior employer. And that's another great strategy to use for note investing. Now, you asked about amounts. It's all across the board. That's the answer. You can buy loans that have a $5,000 loan balance all the way up to a million or more. You can buy loans that are jumbo loans in that size and everything in between. And so there's no one size fits all. It's very diverse. And for someone interested in getting involved in note investing, there's two ways to do it. You can invest as a passive investor where you're buying individual notes and building a portfolio. And the other way is to be a passive investor where you can invest in a mortgage note fund, and that's a managed portfolio. And you can usually get in for a lower amount on those. They have different minimums. But what I like is that it allows for diversification because instead of you as the investor, you're buying one or two loans. When you go into a note fund, your capital is spread out over hundreds or thousands of loans. And so that creates a nice diversification in your portfolio. And let's face it, not everyone is cut out to manage a loan portfolio. Some people prefer to invest in a note fund and be more of a passive investor. And it really, either way is great. It just comes down to how much time do you have? How much time do you want to dedicate to this activity? Uh, I've found that busy professionals, busy business owners, they rather take the passive approach because it requires less time. And someone who's an active real estate investor that really likes to get hands on, then the active approach could be much better for them.
And a lot of people are listening thinking, wait, loans get sold, and that sort of blows their mind because loans feels like a type of transaction where someone needs to borrow money, someone else has it. So then the lender lends the money to the borrower and the borrower pays it back over time. But there is that thing that happens often, a lot more often than people might realize, is that those loans can get sold. Like, talk to us about that.
Yeah.
What is that market, and why do loans get sold, and how common is it?
Yeah, this is a great question. And this is very common. I would venture to say that just about everyone that has purchased a property with financing has experienced this. And what happens is you go, you take out a loan buying a property or refinancing one, and you sign all the loan documents at closing. And then what happens, you start making those monthly payments. But then usually between 3 and 6 months later, you get a letter from the lender saying, "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, we're writing to advise you that your loan is being sold, and we're sharing with you the contact information and the address of the new lender. And starting next month, please make your loan payments to the new lender. And by the way, don't worry, none of the terms and conditions of your loan will change. Interest rate is the same, payment amount's the same, everything remains the same. However, please begin making your payments to the new lender." And so just about everyone has experienced that scenario. And why does it happen? The lender that originated that loan, they're in the business of originating loans. And so they need to sell it on the secondary market to recapitalize. And when they do that, they're able to turn around the very next day and originate a new loan for someone else. And that's part of their business model. They're constantly originating loans, getting them set up, and then they sell them, and then they turn around and do it all over again. It's the velocity of money. And they make some money from the loan fees and the application and the points and all that. And the first couple of months of loan payments, if you think about how an amortization schedule is, the first couple of months, it's almost all interest, each payment. And so the bank collects that, and they're able to do this at a super high velocity. And when they sell those loans, they'll sell them at a slight discount. And the very next day, they do it all over again. That's how the mortgage business works. And if you ever go, you can go on to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac's website, where they are constantly buying and selling huge packages of loans. It's all published there every quarter, loan sales, everything that's going on at those higher levels. But that's the top of the pyramid of the loan and mortgage industry.
And every industry has its pros and cons. So give us some of the benefits of choosing note, because we all have this unlimited sort of menu of different things we can do to invest in and get involved in. But what are some of the benefits of choosing note investing? And then what are some of the risks or downsides?
Great question. Great question. Some of the benefits are that investing in notes, it generates immediate cash flow and income. And so here's an investment that you can own and you start to get paid immediately. And so it's like you get paid all along the way. And your investment is completely buy an asset with tangible value. And so you have downside protection as well on the investment, which a lot of other investment classes may or may not have that aspect of it. But I always love, in general, for investing, is investing in assets that you can own and control, and you have downside protection. That's super important. And those are some of the advantages. And the other is that you can really scale up a portfolio rapidly, whether you're managing it actively or it's being managed for you. And so it's a really powerful industry. And I love sharing about it with people that are looking to diversify and add a cash flow component to your overall investment portfolio, because it's not all asset classes that offer that.
So true. And then as far as downside, what are some of the things that people should consider before jumping in that would be the risks to avoid and the reasons why you may want to do this under the guidance of a professional versus just venturing out on your own?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the downsides, it's important that you're good at performing due diligence and evaluating loans. They're not all worthwhile, or they're not all safe. There's definitely some risks that can pop up, and you need to know how to handle those or avoid them altogether. Some types of loans may really not going to be appropriate for someone that's just starting out. I always say start out, if you're doing this, you start out with the safe, simple, straightforward types of transactions and get some experience. And then once you have experience, you can expand into other areas. Maybe you're comfortable taking on more risk, but when you're starting out, I love the idea of working with a professional or participating in a note fund that's going to manage the portfolio for you. And you get to learn. You get to be in the passenger seat watching everything that's going on. And it's a great way to learn while you're investing and getting started. But for any type of investing, Flavia, it really is so much value when you're surrounding yourself with successful people that know what they're doing, that have experience, that have the wherewithal to work through problems that come up. Because, hey, let's face it, this is life, and problems and challenges are going to show up from time to time. And what sets one investor apart from another is the way they handle challenges, handle problems, and they're able to overcome them and still come out ahead in the end.
And so you're obviously not just an investor, but you are a fund manager. So you really are at that top level of this very unique niche. How did you end up doing that? How did you go from investor to managing funds to helping others in this area? And what do you consider yourself? Do you consider yourself a consultant, a financial advisor, an investment coach? Like, how is your day to day, and how have you made this into a business for yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love building relationships with people. That is one of my top values, and something that's so rewarding. And I speak with investors all of the time. And people seem to be very curious about the note investing space as well. But I have people reach out to me. They found out about me through a podcast interview, or maybe they read my book about note investing. But I always love sharing and teaching about ideas and concepts in the investment space, because unfortunately, this is something that no one learns about in school, in high school and university. Talking about investing, different strategies, how to build wealth. It's something I'm very passionate about. And it really takes the initiative for someone to want to learn, and they're going to have to go the extra mile. They're going to have to read books, listen to podcasts, maybe attend investment events and conferences. And that's where you start to learn and build up your base of education and building relationships with others. And it's like anything else, Flavia. If you want to be successful at something, one of the best ways to do it is find someone else that has reached that success and learn from them and be around them, spend time. Spending time around successful people helps you to become successful.
And your background was engineering originally. And I'm sure when people think of finance and loans and interest rates and numbers, they're maybe thinking, okay, that's an area, that's a career for someone who's very analytical and very good with math and very good with numbers. And is you hand them an Excel spreadsheet and they are comfortable. They can just dive in and swim. Is this the kind of world where really it's more for the math analytical types? Or do you think that someone who's, say, a creative artist and math was their absolute least favorite subject and they don't even want to balance a checkbook, can they still get into this sort of field?
Absolutely. I've seen investors from all walks of life get involved in this industry. And those are all different skill sets, but they're valuable. I'll tell you this, the three areas of focus for someone that's active in the note investing industry, it is being able to raise capital, That's one. The other one is being able to manage a portfolio, which means systems and processes, being good at developing systems and processes. And the third one is having access to buying notes on the secondary market. What's involved with that? It's being good at building relationships. It's all our industry is completely relationship based. And so those are the different skill sets that are required. And it's not usual for someone to be good at all three of those areas. It helps you to see where you need to develop, where you need to maybe spend extra time and get good. And sometimes you have a lot of people that join forces with someone else, create some kind of a partnership where you have different people with complementary skill sets.
And your book.
But yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, Flavia.
No, I was going to say your book, I think, is something that people could read and see if this world is for them and to learn a lot about it. Wherever they come from in life, it seems like that would be a great next step for them.
Yes, absolutely. This book, it provides a really nice high level overview of note investing and all of the different aspects. And it helps readers do some evaluation about which approach is right. Is the active note investing approach better for you, where you're hands on, you're rolling up your sleeves, you're getting right involved? Or maybe for someone else that has less time, going as the passive investor might be the better way to go. And this is such an individualized question. And so I always encourage everyone really to consider the different aspects and see which is right for you. And something that's interesting is over time, that may change, right? Because we get to a different place in life and priorities and time, availability of time and focus may change. And so I've seen a lot of people switch from active to passive or vice versa. And so it's really interesting. But I'll tell you, the book is a great place to start for someone that's interested in learning.
And if someone wants to connect with you, learn more about what your funds and what you do, what you teach, how would somebody find you online or off?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I love connecting with investors and people that are interested in learning about mortgage note investing. And so the best way to reach me is connect with me on my website. It's at fredmoskowitz.com. And I have a feeling that a lot of people may prefer a little bit of an easier spelling. So you can also go to giftfromfred.com and that'll take you right to my website. That's giftfromfred.com. And from there, you can connect with me. I have a special report I'd be happy to send out to anyone. And also, you can learn more about my book, which is called The Little Green Book of Note Investing. And that's available on Amazon.
Awesome. Fred, thank you so much for being on, for sharing your expertise, for helping so many with their own finances and building legacies for their families. It's just such important work that you do, in particular, because you are right. These are skills that are not taught in our general school system. And so for someone to become financially savvy and about the economy and ways to build and save wealth and protect it, you really are on your own as an adult where you have to seek out this information. So I'm so glad your book is available and that you are also available as a resource. Thank you, Fred, so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Flavia. It's been a pleasure being on your show.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and if you leave a review on iTunes, I promise I will read every single review. If you know someone who makes a full-time living from part-time work, and maybe this is you, please visit lifestylesolopreneur.com to nominate a guest or to nominate yourself. Because remember this, money doesn't buy happiness, but money in the hands of a happy person, there is no greater tool.
Today's episode was brought to you by the Get Shift Done program. It's a lifestyle-changing online class to help you define your business and lifestyle ambitions. and to set goals in a way you've never experienced before. This class will 10x your daily productivity with methods that will blow your mind. And if you use the coupon code podcast, the class tuition is 99% off. Visit GetShiftDone.com to enroll today.